Good morning, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily, your collaborative intelligence report. It is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. Uh, George, I need to take
Uh-oh.
us back in time, like eons ago, like 18 months.
Mm.
Uh, you remember we were at Inbound 2024 and you were getting ready for your talk, but you were listening to some stuff in the days before, and
Yeah.
you had this great idea to record.
Yeah.
I think it was Andy's product talk.
It was Andy Petrie, the spotlight, product spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah, and your talk was gonna be about how to make content with AI, among other things.
Yeah.
And you had the bright idea, and it felt so awesome that you could take that transcript, send it to somebody, do some stuff with it, and within a couple of days you had an article,
No.
and
Couple hours.
you had to update but then you updated your presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
um
the timeline is a little bit shrunk. Like it was one day, recorded a transcript, created a actual draft with my GPT, sent the draft to Liz just to kind of go once over, and by the next day I had the article posted online and it was part of my presentation deck about real-time content.
yes.
Yep.
um I was reminded of that last night, as I'm going to share this example as I continue to just have a blast. Uh, but from unexpected places, like none of this is planned. Uh, I get this notification, and honestly, I just might have a problem right now because this was like, all right, time to have dinner. Right, I'm gonna step away from the desk. I think I just told Ryan Ginsburg. I was like, man, I've been going too hard. Like, need a break.
Yep.
Get to the desk or get to the table and see a notification from Perplexity on my phone with this article. Um, and of course, not surprising that this is happening, but my response um, was just, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And Perplexity gives me an answer. And this is me just seeing like how the conversation can start from an article and just like see what he says.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, it keeps in perspective. Markets may be overreacting, like they tend to do. So I ask, where do you see HubSpot in all of
Mm.
this? Especially when I view HubSpot in this light, and I give him a link to the customer value platform page on the Value First Team website
Right.
that talks about the value path and unified views and using all the objects like HubSpot in a different light. Uh, he says, well, viewed as customer value platform, HubSpot is structurally set up to be one of the winners of this shift rather than a pure victim of it. He gives his reasons why. And then, uh, if you want to go one level deeper, we can sketch a HubSpot as Agent OS architecture on top of blah, 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 blah.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like, yeah, let's go. So then over the course of the next couple hours,
There
um,
went dinner. There went
uh,
dinner, folks.
well, finished dinner. But after I did this, so I had this conversation with Perplexity. I think I got to a prompt where I was going to give it to Cloud Code, but Perplexity doesn't have a lot of context on, the rest of the business. Claude has all that context. So we take the prompt over to Claude, make it a little bit better. bring it into Cloud Code, make it a little bit better. And we get to this page. Um, and mind you, like I'm in the process of moving right now. So I'm doing some packing. I'm like, so it happens over 3 hours, but it's not like me sitting down, like typing in the keyboard for 3 hours. Right. And um, it's just at the very least, it's so fun. But to be able to go from just article to you know,
Graphic content.
web page with interactive React elements. And it's just that's where like the closest thing I could think of uh was kind of that moment that we first started, or at least I first started realizing this at Inbound with you.
Yeah.
And now, and that was just like an article, and like you still had to update your slides, like stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Now it's just like,
This was back in the Stone Ages of AI.
and then in conjunction, like I wake up this morning and see this post from Dharmesh where he's and I don't know if anything's like serendipitous at this point, but I'm sure they had to be like waiting for this moment. But they mentioned that he announced the agentic customer platform that HubSpot is positioning. So well, I wasn't so surprised that Perplexity responded the way it did because of the way HubSpot has been messaging, like in a way that's different from everybody else. But then to see this right next to it, it makes sense. I think I still have trouble with the agentic word, but luckily, customer value platform still holds up because it's about the value, whether it's coming from agents or humans. But yeah, just like this is the way that started, right? Like human creativity is just gonna like be unleashed in a way where I didn't have any of that capability. I wasn't planning to build that page. I wasn't planning to build those modules. It just took the spark of that article and then being able to have a conversation and then continuing to spark ideas and then just bam, right? Done. Like that is part of the reason for the story itself, where because we built the AI native stack, I didn't use any software. Like I didn't use any software licenses outside of Cloud Code. I'm trying real hard to think if there is anything else right now. I guess Vercel is hosting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead, Nico.
No, just my tech stack has, we even have a show on Sundays, but like my tech stack has changed entirely to where if it's not in CLI for me, it's weird. Like if I have to operate in somebody's software, it's annoying to me. Like I would rather just talk and move the data, talk and manipulate the data, do what I have to, like all via just working with the agent and not ever like actually talk like me, like, you know what I mean? Because it's like I imagine, so like the equivalent, right? The equivalent is like, let's put it, okay, so this is how I see these conversations. I think that maybe this might be a bad metaphor. Hopefully it's not. I see these conversations when it comes to human AI collaboration. I kind of see it like human robotic construction, right? So like once that comes about, right, and we have robots that are accepted in the construction field and they start helping out with construction. I see that like human AI interaction is like, yeah, it's just a human and a robot, and they're both hammering nails like right next to each other, right? Um, and I see the way that I interface is much more like Foreman just directing the robots to go build whatever it is, right? Like I don't have humans on site because to me it's getting in the way, right? Like there's every one represents a blockade where the decision making becomes uh blurry. Like you don't necessarily have control over what that output is going to be, right? Where with my robot, I know exactly what the output is going to be. And even if it's off by a degree, I'm only going to have to correct it the one time, right? Assuming that it doesn't come like pre-contextual with stuff, right? So yeah, I understand the whole SaaS apocalypse thing. I understand the whole market taking a dive thing. We've been talking about it for months now, so it's weird to me that like, yeah, we just figured out today that that you can code practically any platform you need to. Plus the fact that like the tools are rolling out to legal, they're rolling out to medical, right? So we've been talking about the fact that they're going to begin to like erode larger platform companies, you know, from the top down and also raise people from the bottom up. So, you know, I guess this is one point where I disagree with Perplexity in terms of, you know, how how stable um larger. I mean, like we're already seeing it, right? Like the market reacting to this is pretty much a sign of them understanding like, hey, big box software companies are in trouble, right? Because now there's going to be more options. So I agree, like context is super important. But to your point, and even to Dharmesh's point, your context is important. It's no longer important necessarily to take what you have and put it somewhere else. It's way easier to just inject an agent and tell it, hey, here's where all this stuff is. Just thought you should know, right?
Well,
And
that's
you
the
never
point.
then like interface with all the individual stuff. You just talk to the one agent, right?
Right. There's got to be a place for all the stuff. And
Yeah.
that's what the difference is, like, since customer value platform is using all of the objects and having all of your data and unifying everything there.
Mhm.
It's much different than uh so one of the lines here is, if HubSpot is configured as records to process, then agents that do tasks cheaper are a direct threat.
Yeah.
If it's configured as relationships to grow and value to deliver, HubSpot becomes a coordination layer where human teams and AI agents collaborate around the customer's story.
Disagree.
Where's the data coming from then, Nico?
The data's in the CRM. Doesn't mean that you have to work in the CRM in order to actually deliver that value. We all
Humans
know
are
that.
collaborating just like you're a foreman, like foreman collaboration, like
Yeah.
however you want to labor
Yeah,
it,
but like
right?
it's the collaboration is again, instead of me being next to the robot, I'm a step back now. I'm a foreman. The whole point of agency is, and we've talked about this before, is one person becomes four. The person who was an individual contributor becomes a manager. Everybody takes a step back from that ground level role. So to me, software platforms represent the ground level where I was swinging the hammer. But me telling the agent to go swing the hammer is me being a foreman to the orchestra. Like I'm just an orchestrator now. I'm just a manager. I just wrecked, right? So like I understand it. I do. I understand it. And from like, look, from a HubSpot user perspective, data agent is like the best thing that's ever happened, right? And like assistant is beyond the best thing that has ever happened at this point, right? If and when, because it's been private beta, so it's not, and it's been private beta for months, so I'm not telling you guys anything new. If and when the agent marketplace launches, okay, now we're talking very, very different story where, again, I think that you're going to find users working out of just this like home space in HubSpot as opposed to like going all over the CRM, which I think that's the way it should be, right? Like you should
Yeah. Well,
log
that's
into
the point.
HubSpot and just be interfacing with, Breeze, right?
Yeah. No, I think the coordination layer doesn't mean humans are working in it. And let me just show this example real quick, and like then we'll get to George. And like this is also like a meta example of what we're talking about, how like all of this stuff was developed by AI, and now humans at the end of the line like communicating to other humans, like the insights gained, right? So this is the end-to-end flow, right? Event detected, usage drops, no human spent time on that. 5 seconds later, the data layer is capturing stuff, product usage, MPS survey. 30 seconds later, the customer value model is interpreting it. 1 minute later, agent analyzes and acts on what needs to happen. 2 minutes later, workflow is coordinating, meeting link ready, timeline logged, email draft prepared. Then human comes in and decides what to do next, including a personal call and scheduling with an exec. And then 2 weeks later, relationship saved. Now, this is just an example, but that's where like everything at the front end of the process, where the data is and where the architecture is, like humans have never been good at that part, right? Like, I mean, HubSpot's had some come to Jesus moments themselves over the past couple of years, realizing, hey, people don't want to come into the CRM. Like they want to be talking to humans. They want to be, interacting outside in the real world. So now that AI is here, it's forcing everybody to get on board with that. So, George, you've had 20 minutes to soak this in.
And away we
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm listening to you guys talk about this, and my brain has been going in a couple places. Some that I agree with, some that I don't agree with. One, I'll back up kind of to the beginning of this conversation. I find it very interesting because I'm finding myself doing the same thing, that your conversation with Perplexity started being question based. Well, what if, and how about, and right? And so I think there's this interesting idea of being smart enough to ask good questions when you're working with your AI assistant. The understanding that we might not know it all, but we can learn it all, and we can make decisions based on opportunities that are presented to us as we could do this, or we could do that, or we could go in this direction, or hey, I could do this. Yes, my questions got us to that point. That's amazing. Let's move forward on this. So I think questions are interesting. Honestly, for a lot of this conversation, I've been sitting here listening, standing here listening, and trying to figure out if I'm getting the ick or not. Meaning the amount of what feels like a non-human conversation. And the fact that there are so many humans out there that don't know diddly squat about what we're talking about, and will go to work today and they will just do their job like they've always done their job. And that will continue to happen for years in many organizations, in many industries. And what I want us to be careful of is this potential to get into what could feel like a doomsday scenario. Look, the market has always been volatile. Even when we're made to believe that it's not, it is. And look, we live in a world where people are trying to get people to look at things and read things because it's an attention economy. Headlines are headlines for a reason. Things go viral because of a reason, because we're humans and we act like freaking humans when we see this stuff. This conversation for me has been a little bit of a struggle on like what I would want somebody to take away from this that is a positive in nature. Let me want to move forward piece. And so I go back to my first statement I made when you said, George, you've been listening for 20 minutes. I don't know. I
think it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the key. We need you to be thinking about it. And that's where some people require these kinds of headlines, which is why people use these kinds of headlines to pay attention and wake up.
But
I mean, that's
I don't
where
know,
that's why
but I
I
don't
went
know
where I
if you
went.
should wake up because of being fearful. That maybe that's what I'm struggling with. Like that post, which by the way, if you don't have to bring it back up, but it's even in our Slack channel. Like, you guys even referenced their faces, right? The faces in the post. I find no great joy in the faces. I find no great joy in fear. I find no great joy in it being painted in a way. Like the positive is you can build anything that you want to build. The positive that you might not be handcuffed or burdened by a big piece of software anymore. Great. That's the positive. Unless you still want to have your organization in one of those pieces of SaaS software. And then it becomes which one is the best one, which one is moving forward, which again goes to Chris, kind of what you were talking about is like, at least HubSpot's trying to keep up. At least HubSpot's moving in a direction like they always have, by the way, trying to move in a direction of like the puck's headed that way. So let's skate towards the puck versus like chasing the. Okay. So it's like, I don't know, there's a lot going on in today's conversation that I don't think it's surface level. I think it could be a way deeper conversation. I also feel like that might even be like a different podcast with the therapy couch and all sorts of stuff for a lot of humans that would be trying to like go through this.
Yeah.
I
think
don't
that's
know.
fair, but we know humans react for a couple different base reasons, and one of them is fear. And if this is what it takes for certain leaders to wake up and say, like, okay, like it's time to go, like for the rest of my organization, or else we're not gonna move. I mean, that's why I think it's important for us, and exactly where I took that conversation. It was like, all right, we could just, talk about how Salesforce is also down 50% on the year, and like all the signs are pointing to this, but it does represent opportunity for anybody that can see through this. Oh, wait. Like, oh, I was holding on to that software because it was just that's what I do every day. And now I might not be able to. Like, it's not going to be there. So now, can we help them think about what's possible? Like, what can they give themselves permission to do? Like, to be creators.
I
I
don't disagree with that at all. Like, listen, it's funny that we're having this conversation, and it's funny that I feel like I'm probably pushing back against the conversation you're having. And the reason I'm saying it's funny is because I canceled my Avoma yesterday because I built a system where I automatically download my Zoom meetings and get my transcripts from another SaaS software that I was already paying for and have Echo analyze it. So I understand what you're saying, and I know the positive side of it. There's just like, I can't get behind, and maybe this is just because who I am. I've never been a big fan of like fear-based activation. I've never been a big fan of clickbaity titles. And maybe that's why I'm struggling today, because on one side, I'm doing and believe parts of what we're talking about. And then part of me is just going, I can't get the frick out of here fast enough today.
That's fair.
I mean, I I sit back and just think about like a few months back when. So I guess I'll just ask this question because I think it's the easier place to start. Um, wouldn't you rather just walk in the room and just be working with Echo?
No, no. I like humans.
No,
And
no,
I
no,
know,
no. That's not what I mean.
okay.
What I mean is like instead of interfacing with software directly, wouldn't you rather just walk in and just interface with Echo?
My honest opinion is maybe, but my knee-jerk response in my brain when you ask that question is I feel like that might get boring. Like in my life, I don't mind jumping into Photoshop, and I don't mind jumping in to do some stuff in HubSpot, and I don't mind going to these different places because it mixes it up. Like, but don't get me wrong, I love sitting in front of Echo and having conversations and building stuff and getting it to do all the things that it can do. But there are some things that I still enjoy doing as a human.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so maybe I don't want to hand some things off to Echo, right? So like a happy mix of maybe and no in there. And I see that. And again, this is an internal, like, you guys are touching on something internally that I don't think I've unpacked or understand how I would rather navigate it than the way that the world is trying to get us to navigate it right now. And I don't like it. And I also know that for me, it's there are parts of my life and existence and team and that are struggles, but still love what I learned through the struggles of how it is. Mm.
Yep.
Clip
Oh,
that
man.
and freaking put it on the internet. I don't know what.
Tomorrow when I have my new setup, I got it all the way to transcribing today. But had to come back
Nice.
home because I'm not fully moved. But yeah, maybe in the coming days I'll just be able to clip that and it'll be ready. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's always better to start from a place of love than a place of fear.
Yeah.
In terms of like the outcomes of what's going to happen. Like, even if you get to the value, if you started from a place of fear, it usually is going to take longer and maybe be a little less value. But at least as I work with clients across the spectrum, like it's very easy to see like there's conversations where AI doesn't come up at all, right? And it's
Yep.
just like it's a great reminder that there's a huge spectrum in business right now. And like the fact is, they don't need to pay attention to AI to do their job, to serve their customer. Like nobody's asking them to do it, so it's understandable. But I'm grateful to be in a position where we can try and take this narrative, take this moment, and turn it into a more valuable conversation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key, I think, it's impossible to do that if you're sleeping on this stuff, and I wouldn't put it on any of the like the individuals of the organization. But if this is how some leaders need to be woken up, then so be it. We need them to move way faster than they are in most cases. So I know this will help some of them do that, and we'll be here in the coming days, weeks, months to help you navigate on Value First AI Daily. Thanks so much, fellas. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys.
Peace out.